Good afternoon, everyone. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another stream. Today we are playing with a rather interesting deck. I'm gonna be honest, this is not something I've never played with or against. It's Cat Fit. Yes, you heard me right. Cat Fit. So you're used to Nick Fit, where you try to sack Veteran Explorer to Cabal Therapy or Phyrexian Tower. Which apparently has some new art. I kind of dig it. I don't know whether or not I prefer the old one. I'm kind of used to the old one, but this is some sick art. Anyway, you try to sack Veteran Explorer to ramp out a couple of lands and then cast some big dumb stuff that somehow kills your opponent. Well, this deck's still trying to do that, but it's doing so in a very strange way. This deck is built partially around Corvold Fey Cursed King. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you sacrifice another permanent. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card. The idea is to couple this with sacrifice effects and put it to good use. So this deck has a pseudo-infinite combo in Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven. So you can sacrifice a creature, namely the cat, to create a food token. And when you sacrifice a food, you return Cauldron Familiar from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you have these two plus Corvold, you can put a crap ton of counters on it relatively quickly and draw a bunch of cards. Now, there's some supplementary stuff to make this plan work. There's a plan of Orcish Lumberjack to Black Lotus your way into either Corvold or Titania relatively early on. There's a Punishing Fire Grove of the Burn Willows combo that I guess works well with Young Pyromancer too. And then there's Ramunap Excavator to go and get the lands back that you cut down using your Lumberjack. I get the feeling that this deck has too many disparate things going on, and we're gonna draw a Young Pyromancer with an oven and a Ramunap Excavator a lot of time, and it's gonna be super clunky and awkward because we don't have Brainstorm to fix it. But when this deck does its thing, this is probably going to be hilarious and a lot of fun, and we're probably going to have a lot of strange interactions today that I haven't even thought of yet. And they're just going to happen, and I'll figure it out as it's coming along in the middle of a match. Online family dinner. To be fair, I don't think it's a bad idea, necessarily. But, it's conflicting with stream time. It's rough. Luckily, I upload the VODs to YouTube. So the YouTube VOD will be up later today. The Twitch VOD is up immediately after the stream is done. The YouTube VOD usually takes a couple hours to upload and process. And it just varies a little bit from day to day how long that actually takes. This is a deck that Fine and Andy asked me to play. They've done a lot of support of the channel in various ways, such as gifting subs on many, many occasions, and I wanted to do a little something to thank them. And so I shot them an email, and they said they wanted me to play this deck. I have not adjusted the main deck at all. I've kept the main deck exactly as it was registered. However, I did change the sideboard a little bit to make it more competitive in the current meta. The list was submitted a couple weeks ago at this point, and it was still kind of in a breach-focused meta, and things have shifted a little bit. So we have a bunch of 2-ofs in the sideboard to just, round out matches. I think we're pretty soft to combo, so I've added Surgical Extractions and Thought Seizes into the deck list. We have Oof and Teague as bullets for certain combo matchups. We have Carpet of Flowers as just another way to produce mana and ramp and make it so that we can cast the big dumb stuff consistently. And then a handful of other cards. Veil of Summer to protect my stuff, or, it has utility against some combo decks as well. Choke is Choke, and K-Command seems like a great card for fair matchups. Although, if you kind of take a look at the sideboard here, We're not really boarding things for fair matchups most of the time. We should be going bigger than most fair decks with Titania pretty easily. So it's kind of the unfair stuff that I need to hedge a little bit more towards. Let's just kind of jump into it and see how this goes. I'm looking to just have a fun day. Not the showcase challenge with this. So the YouTube channel has now changed. I believe, or is the name the same? Hold on. One of the links didn't change when I did my restructuring. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Okay. So the link you have there is the same as this, right? Yeah, it's the same as that. That's where it will be. I rebranded almost all of my stuff to ThrabenU, and so like the YouTube channel is called ThrabenU, but the direct link to it is still Thraben University because I can't change that quickly and easily. Legacy League, Cat Fit. Let's go. While I'm at it, I would also like to thank Min H for a relatively large donation. All they said in the donation was more Legacy. So I'm doing my best, friend. Hopefully you're enjoying it. We're looking at 5 or 6 streams this week since I'm on spring break, and hopefully that gives you your fix. Gonna have a cooperative Maverick stream tomorrow night that I'm really looking forward to. That'll be a lot of fun. Cabal Therapy turn 1 in the dark, followed by Green Sun for Veteran Explorer turn 2, and Orcish Lumberjack. Or I can YOLO play Lumberjack on 1 and turn to Corvold Fakehurst, sacrificing the Lumberjack. Like, one way or another, I'm keeping this hand. I want to see if I have any data on what my opponent is playing. No data on my opponent. Chancellor of the Annex. So opponent is on Reanimator. So I need to throw a spell away here. So the whole Veteran Explorer side of the deck is probably slow for this matchup. And my real plan is get a Scavenging Ooze into play as quickly as possible. I can do that by playing Orcish Lumberjack on turn 2 and Green Sun on turn 3. That was the worst draw in my deck. The absolute worst draw. Shoot. Shoot, 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 shoot. Okay. My turn gets a little weird now. So I can Green Sun for X equals 1, Veteran Explorer, get 2 basic lands, play Orcish Lumberjack, give my opponent more mana, which is a little loose. Or I can just play out my Orcish Lumberjack. Previously, I was planning on Orcish Lumberjacking plus Green Sun for X equals 0 to get the Dryad Arbor, but that really mucked with my plans. I think giving my opponent more mana is super risky if they can Grizzlebrand. So I think I'm just going to play the Lumberjack here. Hope that they can't go off. And pass. Like, if I Cabal Therapy and I name the wrong discard... Oh god, they didn't have the Entomb. That's so great. Are they actually... Okay. No, they are Reanimator. Shit. Do I just concede here? Like, do I concede in response to a discard spell? I cannot take that Grizzlebrand out of play. I'm going to lose the Corvold here. And life's going to be weird. The only thing... So I have two outs to this. Out 1 is Abrupt Decay, Animate Dead. Out 2 is play a Corvold and make it bigger than Grizzlebrand with a Leshnorn. I would have to make it into an 8. Well, no. So, presuming they put a Leshnorn into play. I don't think I win from here, and I would really not want my opponent to know, like, exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and concede here. I think I'm 90+% dead. Yeah. No regrets. Violent Creature, thank you very much for your continued support. You're up to 15 months now. I really appreciate it. Alright. Surgicals, Thoughtseize, and Veils seem like the sort of stuff that I'm going to want for this. Punishing Fire seems pretty bad. I don't super need to protect my stuff from what they have going on. I don't super see myself wanting Ramunap Excavator. I don't know how central to the game plan the whole like Cauldron Familiar Witch's Oven thing is. I wish I wasn't playing this matchup first, so I had an idea of how everything kind of works together. But I don't have that yet. So I'm not entirely sure like how much of that I can just cut. I don't know. I think a lot of the games that I win, I'm just gonna like flop a 5-cost card into play on turn 2 off a Orcish Lumberjack after disrupting my opponent once and hope that goes the distance. I don't think I can cut fat. Maybe I don't play towards actually answering Animate Dead. Cut those, keep all my bodies. Obviously, I don't have matchup experience here. I don't know. Yes, keep. Right? Like, Surgical Extraction and Veil of Summer to protect my hand from discard. And then we'll figure everything else out somehow. Alright, turn 2 Witch's Oven. Hello and welcome. Yeah, I've never played any deck that had the oven combo in it. It's a big standard thing. Or was a big standard thing? I don't really know. Please don't have 2 creatures plus Exhume. Actually, that works pretty well for me, right? Because they're the same creature. Opponent conceded a little too slowly there, and now I get to see their entire library. Yeah, basically. Alright, so opponent has 2 Grave Titans that they can potentially hardcast if we surgical them. They have a Magus of the Moon as another tutor target, which is kind of cute. And then not too many other things that are all that surprising. Do I want to have outs to Magus of the Moon? Because I can board in Punishing Fire to have outs to Magus of the Moon. I don't think I care. Like, I have 6 castable cards under Magus of the Moon, Orcish Lumberjack. Eh. I don't think I play scared of that card. I can maybe play around it, and if I get a Veteran Explorer into play, it's very easy for me to get basics. Change is probably an acceptable Magic card to play in any metagame. I don't know that I actively call it good right now, but if you're in a mono-black deck, it's totally worth considering. I don't think this hand actually does anything. We need to get to 3 mana to Green Sun for Ooze and have that matter. This is another do-nothing hand. Orcish Lumberjack can only sacrifice forests, unfortunately. This one goes back as well. Okay. I'm going to keep this hand, and I have to figure out what to do with it. I can get to 5 mana on turn 2 with Orcish Lumberjack. The Veteran Explorer isn't going to actively contribute to any of my plans right now. And I see myself tapping out, so Veil of Summer is no good. So this is the awkward hand that I am keeping. Super punished for... Well, not super punished. Slightly punished for throwing away the card previously. If I'm not dead, Cabal Therapy is really good on turn 3. Crocodile MTG, thank you very much for the raid, friend. I appreciate it. For everyone who's joining in, welcome. We're playing Cat Fit. Take a look at the Cardboard Live extension for the deck list, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to hope my opponent, like, quote-unquote, doesn't have it here and play out my Lumberjack. The Lumberjack plays towards some of the highest upside lines. Like me just ripping a Titania off the top of my library, for example, and like being able to create a real clock. A Xantid Swarm, okay. Showery Lobster and Crocodile MTG, thank you very much for following. I hope you enjoy legacy content. If you do, you're in the right place. Boy, that's awkward. So I'm playing this land. Okay. This is going to be weird. So let's get red, red, green by cutting down this tree. Play a young Pyromancer. Let's cast a Cabal Therapy targeting you. Let's name Animate Dead here. We have missed. I'm going to get to name again, and then surgically extract. Seems like a fine time to get rid of the Grizzlebrand. Cabal Therapy, target you, sacrifice an elemental. Name a Grizzlebrand. Okay. Surgical extraction, target Grizzlebrand, pay some life. So they have Xantid Swarms now, and then all the other same stuff as before, basically. As far as turns go, that was way better than I thought it was going to be when I was just, like, looking at my hand at the beginning of the turn. It took me a little while to kind of, like, puzzle through what exactly I was going to be doing with that young Pyromancer. But, like, now we have 2, 3, 4, 5 power on board. Wow, okay, we beat Reanimator, which I really, really was not expecting to do. So now that we're up to about 40 of you already, here's the deck list again for anyone who missed the beginning of the stream. This is a spicy one, I'm not going to lie to you. Got a lot of disparate parts that are maybe going to work together and do some cool stuff in some games. I don't really keep track of that sort of thing. Maybe red prison. Like there was like a week to 2 week period where I 5-0'd with like red prison, green Eldrazi post, one of the mono black decks, and 2 other random nonsense decks. But I haven't had a 5-0 recently. I've had crap ton of 4-1s. Yeah. Let's throw back the second one of these. I want to keep my Punishing Fire in case I need to Punishing Fire my own Veteran Explorer to ramp. So there's a world where I cast Green Sun for X equals 0 this turn to get a Dryad Arbor. But if I wait a turn, I can Punishing Fire my Veteran Explorer, get 2 lands, and then cast a Green Sun for X equals 1 if I would like. Or at that point, I just save it for some other big dumb card, depending on what my opponent is playing. That line seemed a little questionable to me, but I don't know what deck they're on or what their general game plan is, so maybe it's fine. So I don't know whether or not my opponent has basics, and whether or not my opponent has basics really changes whether or not like I want a Punishing Fire now. Like, say they're showing, or no, they're not show and tell, but like, say there's some deck that actually has basics. Like, say they're a Grixis control deck that plays a 1 or a 2 of Wasteland, then like using the Punishing Fire on my Veteran Explorer here is super awkward. I have basics. I have 4. 1, 2, 3. I have 4 basics. At the same time, I kind of want to cast this Punishing Fire and kill my Veteran Explorer before my opponent, before I have a chance to draw another basic. Yep, super punished. Super punished. I did that on my turn to play around some sort of like Spell Pierce effect, because like it's somewhat likely that they're Delver. And getting that Punishing Fire pierced is super detrimental to my game plan. Worst case scenario definitely happened there. Like, signs point to Delver with that opening, right? So, like, I feel justified with the timing that I took. Like, I knew it was risky, but I had clear reasons for why I did it that way. It just, like, it sucks that that's what occurred. So another thing that I didn't vocalize during the deck tech, but that like I thought was super loose in looking at this deck list, it only has 4 basics, and that means your second Veteran Explorer super sucks in this deck. So like I can't just Green Sun again here for Veteran Explorer, Cabal Therapy again, and then set up Corvold that way. I have to work a little bit harder than that. Alright, so that was supposed to get us Remunap and get us to our 5th land for a Corvold, but that's okay. So, like, now we're playing against a Wasteland deck, right? So, like, we're incentivized to fetch basics to play around it, but if I fetch basics to play around Wasteland, it makes the cards in my deck actively worse. It's a really weird spot to be in. I also am, like, legitimately confused about what my opponent is playing. If it's Blue-Red Delver, I would have expected to have seen a clock by now. If it was a multicolored snow deck, like 4 or 5 colored, I would have not expected Volcanic Island twice as the fetches here, given board. There's not like a blue-red control deck. Alright, it's just blue-red Delver and they have just 0 pressure. Yeah, I think this is the sort of thing where this deck is doing too many things. And because it's trying to do too many things with, like, Young Pyromancer, Grove, Punishing Fire, it's going to be worse at executing its primary game plan. Alright, there's a Daze. So the reason I didn't Cabal Therapy on their turn is that I knew sooner or later I was going to get a card to the Delver flip. And then I can, like, 100% hit with Cabal Therapy. Yeah. But let me also say, like, we're obviously playing a meme deck list today, right? Like, unquestionably. And so, like, meme deck lists are often, like, less tested and refined. So, like, I'm not going to poo-poo the deck list too much. Because, like, we're looking to have fun and do silly things today. It's possible I should go for a Sylvan Safekeeper attack before I cast this card. Alright, so we have already gotten a card with this Cabal Therapy. And now we pay for it. Okay, that seems very odd to me to cast that card there. There's like 0% chance that I name Brazen Borrower as the card that I name here. Magmatic Sinkhole, huh? Five damage is a very awkward amount. If this Delver flips, I think I have a 0% chance of winning the game. The Delver doesn't flip and also doesn't flip the following turn. Like, maybe we can talk. No, I don't think I can let them double Lightning Bolt. I think I just have to take that trade there. Otherwise, this turn they bolt me. I'm down to 4 life. Down to 2 life if, yikes. So Magmatic Sinkhole kills whatever I play. I probably need to play Titania this turn. Like, how do I deal with this? Like, I don't have Pernicious Deed or anything to clean up. I think I just get overrun. Like, I can play Titania. It probably gets countered. No, it doesn't get countered. They have Magmatic Sinkhole. Like, it just gets Magmatic Sinkhole, and then I take 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. 10 from the Young Pyromancer trigger. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so for Delver, Blue-Red Delver specifically, I guess we have Carpet of Flowers. Veil of Summers are okay to keep my stuff from getting countered, although perhaps a little clunky. And K-Command is something that I can consider, but I don't know that I'll actually play it. We can also think about Choke. I think that kind of falls into the same bracket. I don't know that I can screw around with this whole, like, Witch's Oven Cauldron Familiar thing in a matchup where my opponent is putting meaningful amounts of pressure on me. Like, the Witch's Oven makes food, which, like, is technically life gain, but you sacrifice the food to Cauldron Familiar's ability, not to gaining life. So, yeah, I don't know that that's great. Sylvan Safekeeper Titania is super cute. But I don't know that that's where I need to be. Like, if I'm going to play all of this stuff. I need to make cuts somewhere. Sylvan Library is also pretty questionable due to the life loss. So how does this look? This is 19 creatures, some degree of disruption. Some extra mana ramp. And a bullet for an empty-ish board. Oh, fine and Andy, welcome. We're just kind of getting things off the ground here. We beat Reanimator. Nope. Innistrad Revenue Service, there's not like a true combo in this deck. Keep Goodbye, Dryad Arbor. So like we can't go infinite or anything like that. We just have value-oriented combos rather than you know, something good like just show and tell Emrakul. No, we just gain value with things like Corvold. Perfect mana. You know, we haven't gotten to just like execute our primary game plan and put a 5-drop into play and just win with it yet. Yep, this is why we played the Grove first. Oh, no. JK. Perfect mana. I know this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway because I feel like I need to fill the airspace. We're screwed. Like, even if I top deck a Veteran Explorer, I can't Cabal Therapy with the mana that I have right now. I'm opponent just clicked through their attack step. I have to get a non-basic here to cast Cabal Therapy. God damn it. Yeah. I thought that before I even put together, like, before I even started doing the deck tech, but I don't think these 7 cards should be in the deck list. I think they actively detract from the primary game plan very badly. This hand does nothing. I cast Cabal Therapy, I maybe cast an Abrupt Decay, and I have no other meaningful interaction. Let's try to find a hand that does something. Turn 1 Cabal Therapy, turn 2 Green Sun for Veteran Explorer. Yes, we'll keep this. And I'll throw back my 3rd land. We've chosen poorly by naming Brainstorm. All right. I think I just let my opponent have the Bob. I can Cabal Therapy it away. But things get kind of weird with this Uro over there. Maybe I just go for it now. Yeah, obviously I'm green sunning for Veteran Explorer. The question is whether or not I actually cast the Cabal Therapy this turn because of the Uro specifically. Yes, I will use this ability. I'll take on Mountain Forest here. I should have taken a Swamp for the second Cabal Therapy. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about holding a Punishing Fire for the Bob rather than Cabal Therapying the Bob, which I guess is still fine. Did I just name the Uro? They have one card in graveyard because of Verdant Catacombs. Bob will be a second, and I try to use Titania to just drown them out in elementals. I don't know. Uro is kind of like Time Walk. An Abrupt Decay can kill an elemental. Maybe I just take the Abrupt Decay. So I have a very important piece of information for future games, and that's alright, they do go with the Uro. That's fine. And that's that they only have 2 basic lands in their deck. They have 1 forest, 1 swamp. It's a nuisance. So I can get Ooze here, or I can get Veteran Explorer. If I get Veteran Explorer, I cannot kill it this turn, though. And just getting Ooze to eat Uro so I don't have to deal with that. Then I have Punishing Fire for Bob, and hopefully I draw the game on long enough that I get to more lands. I know that I can't get it and eat it in the same turn. But I think they're pretty unlikely to be able to get Uro from the graveyard this turn. So it costs 5 other cards. And with a fetch land, they have 4 in there. They would need a 1-drop. Or no, they would need like Lotus Petal specifically, because that counts as their land drop for turn. So like this plays towards Ooze Eat plus Punishing Fire on Bob. Yikes. So if I play Orcish Lumberjack, I can Titania next turn and do some explosive things. But I'm kind of worried about just dying to the combo. Like, they have Dark Depths in hand, and Elvish Reclaimer gets a tapped stage. So, like, what? How am I winning this game? Oh, I have to let the Bob live to eat Uro. So, like, I'm being attacked on so many different angles here that my life is hard. I have a few different lines available to me. I can eat Uro, play Punishing Fire on Bob. I can eat Uro, play Orcish Lumberjack. I can Punishing Fire Elvish Reclaimer and eat a land to kill it. But like each one of these is going to leave me exposed to something else, so I have to figure out like how do I actually win this game. I don't know that I can beat a Merit Lodge if I allow that to happen in any world. So I probably need to stop Merit Lodge from happening, which means Uro happens and Bob lives. This is a disaster. An absolute disaster. I guess the actual line was attack with Ooze and see if they'll block first. I don't think they do. I will now offer this Ooze for Bob, which I don't think my opponent takes that trade. Blue, blue, green, green. Opponent is going to put Uro into play. Take my best card. Yeah, I think we're done here. I'm going to take one more draw. If I draw something like Titania, and I can play towards trying to make that happen, like, maybe there are worlds where I could play Orcish Lumberjack into Titania and, like, create enough elementals to trade with Uro. Yikes. So now there's like this Bob plus Uro combo where my opponent gets to lose life to Bob, gain it back with an Uro attack. We lose to that. We had Ooze Eat, Punishing Fire, Uro as the out to Uro, but we can't beat that. All right, what do we have for Dark Depths? Not a ton. So, like, maybe we Veil for discard. Maybe we play discards and surgicals. We don't get a lot. Summon Safekeeper seems bad. Feel like it's only in like the slow grindy matchups that like the Witch's Familiar Oven Cauldron thing is gonna work out. I know we got Wastelanded that time, but that's not going to be the norm. Like, they have access to a tactical Wasteland and or Ghost Quarter. It's not really one of their primary things that they're trying to do. No, I don't think Collector Oof for Moxen is where I need to be. So I can cut down a tree for a lot of mana and do nothing? I need to like math out what I do. So Wooded Foothills, fetch Taiga, play Orcish Lumberjack. Turn 2, I have 4 mana. I can Green Sun for X equals 3. Or play like Explorer, Ooze. So X equals 3 doesn't give me the Ramen Nap. I boarded that out. It doesn't give me the Ooze. It boards that out. So Green Sun for X equals 3 doesn't do crap until I can get up to 6 mana. So I can get 5 mana by cutting down the Dryad Arbor instead of the Taiga that I get. So that would just be like Ooze, Explorer, Explorer, hope for the best. Okay, regardless, I think this hand is a keep. I think this hand's super awkward though. Like this Dryad Arbor being in here, so the Green Sun is also like not a ramp spell, is rough. And like I also have Ooze and boarded out the 3-drop bridge card, and I'm not gonna have access to black mana. This hand has problems. Orms. Tracker would be a fine inclusion in this list. I think you're supposed to take out the Grove's Young Pyromancers, Punishing Fires for 3 more basic lands. Now my hand's garbage. For 3 more basic lands and more cards that involve sacrifice effects. Okay, does that change anything? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I need 1 more mana still. Assuming it makes it back to my turn with me having this Green Sun, it will do things. My god, it will do things. Okay, here we go. Corvald is what I want to do. and then like sacrifice my Veteran Explorer, followed by sacrifice my Veteran Explorer. But it's probably just correct to get Titania and not give my opponent 2 lands. It like super saddens me to say that. Five 3-party time has been called. And now we can cut down our Dryad Arbor on the following turn to make another 5-3. So we have 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, we already have 14 power in play. 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So Punishing Fire kills our opponent. That's super cool. Yes, we cited out Safekeeper. Am I just attacking for 14? And playing Young Pyromancer or Green Sun for yet another Veteran Explorer? Corvald because we can. I can respect that. But if I just attack for 5, 10, 11, 12, 13... If I just attack for 14, my opponent can't fetch. That's probably better than anything else I can do this turn. Alright, Abrupt Decay on Elementals. That's fine. I may play a lot of bad deck lists because people bribe me, and I'm very partial to bribery. But I'm going to be playing to win with bad deck lists. Alright, so I attack, they make Merilage and block this. And then how much damage gets through? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage gets through. Darn you, Grove of the Burn Willows. Let me double check that. They block Titania. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. So I need to instead kind of throw caution to the wind and get a Corvold and play the like, fuck it, let's see what happens game, because Corvold can block Merilage. Alright, here we go. Here we go. He costs 5, right? Just confirm that. Yes, he costs 5. Do I want to give my opponent mana? Sure. Opponent can have mana. Because I might need mana next turn. We want to stack this so we draw with Veteran Explorer first. Another green sun? Does that mean I just get another veteran explorer? No, I guess it just like gives me multiple turns of Corval jump blocks. So now I just send all the troops sideways, lose Titania, deal 2, 3, 4 damage, and then try to present lethal with an attack the following turn using the rest of my stuff. Actually, no, I should cast this green sun for another elemental. Send him in. Is this only worth 3 damage? Yeah, this attack is only worth 3 damage. Maybe I don't even make this attack. I instead just let them have 1 blocker next turn and have a greater number of bodies. Yeah. Attacking with the Explorer is free, though. Is it? It gives them a free block. And it's like 1 damage that I don't get next turn. We're going to lose to crop rotation. Oh, they just have it in hand. Man, after all of that, that's a little disappointing. Remember that if I sacrifice... Yeah, it's possible I shouldn't have sacked the Dryad Arbor, you're right. I mean, I think the deck list is bad, Gary. I think the deck list is very suboptimal. This hand does nothing. Like, it Cabal Therapies twice and then dies. And this is what I'm kind of talking about with this, like, Young Pyromancer stuff, right? Like, this doesn't contribute to the primary plan. Is this an acceptable 6-card hand? Is just turn 2 Veteran Explorer and hope it like my opponent somehow kills it? I think I have to keep this. We're just playing against Reanimator. That's cool. We'll die to that. That's fine. So I can cast Green Sun for X equals 0 and then play Young Pyromancer on turn 2 and hope that a Young Pyro can deal a decent amount of damage. Or I can save the Green Sun in hopes that my opponent does nothing for multiple turns and I hit lands so that I can have turn 4 activate Scavenging Ooze. Yikes. Yikes, basically. I think I have to break this here with Green Sun to have a reasonable chance at drawing out of this. There were 2 Chancellors revealed, so I don't get to play around that on turn 2. Alright, opponent's best creatures are Chancellors. Those are beatable. But probably not beatable if my opponent just puts one into play right here. Yeah, I'm just gonna scoop to that. We get no play next turn. If we miss another land drop, we're basically effectively dead. There's no way that we're gonna get to this amount of mana. We can't answer the creature. Alright, so before we went Surgicals, Thoughtseize, and Veils in. And I think we went Witch's Oven, Cauldron, Familiar, Abrupt Decays out. I think it was something approximating this. Like, the other things that I can consider removing are Summon Safekeeper and Ramunap Excavator. Like, Safekeeper doesn't do a ton unless, like, we get to Titania and also have another Green Sun as follow-up. Like, maybe Abrupt Decay for Animate Dead is, like, arguably better than both of these cards. We're definitely a little light for this matchup, and we didn't steal game one, so I really do not like our chances of winning this set. Maybe Abrupt Decay for Animate Dead as an out is better than Sylvan Safekeeper, Titania finish. Like, if we get to the point where Titania is already in play, like, hopefully we've just won. Yeah, this is fine. Gets slightly more awkward if my opponent has Chancellor, which they do not. Okay. So, what was my best sequencing? I go land, Lumberjack, I can cast turn 2 Corvold. I can just Cabal Therapy blind this tomb, this turn. Followed by Veteran Explorer and Lumberjack that next turn. Followed by some sweet Corvold shenanigans the following turn. I should probably focus on not dying. Staying alive is pretty central to me being able to do cute things with this 5/5. Man, I totally agree. I do not think that should be in the deck. All right. So this second Cabal Therapy on Dark Ritual is kind of tasty. Only kind of, though. Ah, that's a pretty good draw. Yeah, this is max levels of spice. Reanimate Orcish Lumberjack. I respect it. And you presumably have one forest in there? Maybe not if like you have Serenity, but... So if I play Veteran Explorer, I have land plus 2 land. I have 3 mana this turn. Otherwise, I can just play Veteran Explorer this turn. Sack it to Cabal Therapy next turn, and then Corvold. And then, like, not give them bonus mana for their turn. That seems better. I don't... So they've used this Reanimate, so, like, the rest of their hand sucks. And, like, I can take these Dark Rituals later, unless they... 3, 4, 5. No, they can't cast a Grave Titan. So I think I just go land, Veteran Explorer, pass, and don't take the low-hanging fruit of the Double Dark Ritual. That is one of the weirdest plays I think I've ever seen. There are no artifacts or enchantments in play. I guess they're just like hedging towards me. Playing something they're scared of. Got him. I don't know how quickly I'm going to kill my opponent with this, but it's probably pretty quickly. I guess I'm just sacrificing a land to Corvold this turn. Like, just play out the Verdant Catacombs and sacrifice it, because I probably want to play the Sylvan Library this turn. Okay. I'm a liar. So, like, that gets me a counter as well. So I technically should have done that pre-combat. Sorry about that. And like now I even have Abrupt K up. I can kill their Orcish Lumberjack if that's a thing that I need to do. This is whenever I sacrifice a permanent. Alright, we mised a game versus Reanimator with Corvold. We actually did the thing for once, which is super cool. So if you look at Orcish Lumberjack cuts down forests, and they don't have any forests in play, and they fetched Scrubland specifically to cast Serenity onto an empty board. So I think if they had access to a green producing land, they play towards that instead of doing the super weird Serenity line. The problem is, like, we don't really have better cards to board in. We've already boarded, like, we started by boarding out the Witch's Oven thingy. I think I keep this hand. It's turn 1 Lumberjack into turn 2 Ooze. Corvold is indeed pretty cool. It's starting to look like my turn 2 ooze is not going to be fast enough. This is a slow Faithful Looting by Faithful Looting standards, so usually it's just like dump creature, dump irrelevant card, and go. So opponent may have whiffed. Oh, opponent whiffs. Opponent has other ways to get things into the graveyard if they're discarding an Entomb, though. Boo. They pitched an Animate Dead to unmask, which means the Abrupt Decay is relatively unlikely to do something else that would have kept more premium reanimation spell. They're down to 3 cards in hand, but I'm down to effectively 0 real cards in hand, unfortunately. We're going to have to rip off the top. I think I just need to play the Lumberjack off of Taiga here. The reason I'm getting Taiga is that it plays towards me needing to use the Lumberjack for multiple turns in a row because I rip sick things off the top of my library. Did they just end up with Entomb Reanimate after that? Alright. GG. My opponent goes to 4 by drawing 7. I have 1 power and it doesn't get past a 7/7 life linking demon. So no outs. Feels like no outs. Drawing Plummet would have been pretty good there. So we've basically been unable to execute our primary plan most of the time. In most of these games, we've been dead before we've gotten to 5 mana to, like, just do this stuff. Now, I've said this a few times, but these 7 cards need to go from the deck. And honestly, like, this stuff probably needs to go too. Like, I am totally on board with the whole Corvold thing. Like, that card can get big very quickly. But I wonder if we can come up with some better sacrifice-based stuff than just, like, this. Like, it works really well with Tireless Tracker, for example. I'm sure there's other things that have sacrifice-based effects other than just this that we can do. Because, like, Witch's Oven and Cauldron Familiar are both pretty stinky cards to draw on their own. I don't think literally anyone playing Legacy expects Corvold. This hand does nothing. This hand does nothing. This hand also does nothing. But I guess I'm keeping it. We throw back this Safekeeper. So the goal of this hand is turn 1 Witch's Oven, turn 2 Veteran Explorer. We put the Forest back into the deck to have more things to fetch later and don't play around Wasteland. Would this deck beat standard decks? I don't know. I actually don't know what standard looks like. So we're going to get instant speed land ramp at any point that we want. But I don't think I want to ramp now to get my opponent's lands. I can also just play this Young Pyromancer this turn and then just get a little bit of value off this Green Sun. Since I don't have a payoff card yet, if I hold the Green Sun and then I draw Veteran Explorer, I can potentially turn the Green Sun into a payoff card instead. Alright, so we're probably playing against Spellseeker? Just Swords of Plowshares, okay. Do I want 2 life or a food? Food is technically worth 3 life? And this is food for Corvold later. The Ephemerate deck. I can see it. I can cast Green Sun for X equals 2, get Scavenging Ooze. And cast for X equals 1, get Veteran Explorer, and pray for a payoff. I can cast it for X equals 0, get Dryad Arbor, hate myself, but we could have a lot of trees on the battlefield. Scavenging Ooze sucks against the Death Toucher once that's turned on. I think I'm holding this Green Sun forever. Like, despite the fact that my opponent has 4 creatures in play, they're only dealing a small amount of damage to me each turn. That's incredibly threatening. That's the thing that will kill me this game. I'm not going to eat my food this turn. I'm going to play towards actually drawing a Corvold and being able to sacrifice the food once it's in play. I will, however, do the super marginal thinning of my deck and do that as many times as I can. I just have to hit a card that matters, whether that's a Veteran Explorer to ramp me or a Corvold. I have to hit something in the next 1 to 2 turns. Otherwise, this game snowballs once the Uro is in play. That is technically a thing. I'll play it. I don't know that I can afford to cast the Green Sun for X equals 1 once it's in play, though. So this is sort of unfortunate. I think I need to play towards this being my finisher. I don't know how much time I have. You dare destroy my oven? You dare destroy my oven? Kind of sad. Young Pyromancer oven was going to be cute. No more than cute, but cute. Thin away. Eat food. Eat food. Punishes me if the exact top card is Corvold, though. Need to cast this for X equals 5, so I still need to make one more land drop or do it next turn. Luckily, opponent still just has one card in graveyard other than Uro. I'm not under tremendous pressure. Alright, X equals 3. What do you have? Knight of the Reliquary, Eternal Witness. Getting back Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Will you remove Young Pyro or Orcish Lumberjack? Please, Young Pyro. Let me make a big, dumb, scary thing. They saw the line. So now I want to draw a land so I don't fetch to thin this turn. So next turn, whatever they attack with, I Abrupt Decay. Alright, they're just sending in all the troops. So what do I not want on the battlefield if they ephemerate? The answer is Eternal Witness, probably. Because Eternal Witness just threatens to be everything. Yep. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and concede there. They get Swords to Plowshares back, and then if I top deck the land for Green Sun, it's just a disaster for me. Alright, what am I doing against Ephemerate deck? Carpet seems great. Choke seems great. Pyroblast is probably reasonable. And Thoughtseize is maybe not out of question. Surgical for Uro is also not out of question. I'm not going to bring in all of this stuff, but like just kind of talking to myself. So the Young Pyromancer plan kind of sucks. I probably keep the Punishing Fires this time. I probably board out the Cauldron Familiar Witch's Cauldron thing. Like, it's grindy value over time. But, like, these 4 cards are 100% coming in. And then I probably want some source of additional interaction. Like Pyroblast for Ice Fangs so that Corvold can actually crash in and do a lot of damage is probably relevant. I can also just like Veil of Summer so my stuff can't get countered. But I don't know how many actual counterspells my opponent plays. It's probably not a ton. I don't know the deck list very well. It's a brand new deck. I can also just like K command for value. Like that kills an Ice Fang as well. And at least one Pyroblast for Uro. Can I fit the second in? I think I do want access to the Sylvan Safekeeper combo in this matchup. Because my opponent can just produce so many bodies, I might need to just alpha to push damage through. And honestly, maybe Abrupt Decay isn't that good. Because it's just a 1-for-1 against a value-oriented deck. I guess Abrupt Decay in response to Ephemerate is kind of hot. Maybe no Excavator, play Pyroblast. I do not know. This hand plays Veteran Explorer and Pyroblast some blue thing and then gets stuck on 3 lands and dies? Sounds good. In all seriousness, I'm keeping this hand because there's a decent number of top decks that make it pretty good. And every time I've mulliganed this deck, I've almost always mulliganed a second time because like there's so many clunky things going on with this deck. So like Cabal Therapy, Punishing Fire. Fuck. Alright. Our hand's garbage. But that's fine. That's a fine draw. So we get Taiga there, play out a Grove. Cast an Orb. Okay. Opponent was F6 there. They know what they're about. We have Pyroblast for anything super threatening from my opponent, and then I cast something big and dumb. Caracas is in this deck? Fuck! Fuck! So I thought we were good. Narrator's voice. It was not good. It's not unwinnable. If opponent doesn't play around Dryad Arbor, we become the Monarch and get an extra card. I'm not going to fetch Dryad Arbor this turn because the opponent has their own Dryad Arbor chump blocker up. So I'm not going to like go for that and try to force the trade here. We are going to cast Titania every turn until my opponent is dead. That's the plan. Who knows if plan will work? But we're going to try. Now Titania just gets turned into a 3-3 instead of me being able to just redeploy it because they bounce it with Caracas. There's hope for me yet. I probably get to make some headway this turn. There's source of plowshares too. What is white that they would be casting? Orm's Chant with Kicker? That was a joke. That was a joke. Like, what the fuck? None Simo, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the legacy content. It's a weird league. Chant, Ephemerate, Spellseeker. I see. But it's pretty fragile, right? Like if I drew an Abrupt Decay or a Punishing Fire, it just disrupts that. Man, if my Titania wasn't an elk, shit would be so cool right now. Or I guess. So I want 6 mana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That saves this in play. So we'll cast Veteran Explorer with this. So I guess technically I should have played Sylvan Safekeeper prior to this. That was an error. And of course I'm punished for it. I was just thinking that I wanted to get the value off of cracking the fetch land. Want to lose to Icefang Coatl? I do. So I can't kill this Oko reasonably right now. I'm going to try to become the Monarch instead. Like, force this trade, force a chump block. And just be super screwed if they have Ice Fang Coatl and probably concede on the spot. I'm going to play out the Sylvan Safekeeper. It's just going to get turned into an Elk in all likelihood. But if it doesn't, there's some pretty cool scenarios that can occur. And I just want one more body that will let me go wide of my opponent and maybe become the Monarch. Becoming the Monarch is about the only way I see myself beating the Oko. Yeah, Captain Belly, I think this deck list is very suboptimal. We've had a rough day playing this one. It's been hard to execute our primary game plan most of the time. Do you have a Titania? No, we've almost always bordered it out because, like, it's slow and cast it for X equals 5, then get Ice Fang Coatl. That is one of the most optimal lines I've ever seen in my entire Magic career. Let's throw Punishing Fire. And we don't lose to Ice Fang Coatl, being one of my opponent's last cards. Send him in. Sure. This does some things. I'm still just, like, super dead to the Oko. Like, it nugs down 3 lands from my opponent, which is cool. But, like, I get attacked for 5. Then 5. Then 8. Assuming my opponent has just mono bricks. Alright, we killed it. That's cool. Still very dead to board. Need a Green Sun, Corvault, Titania, something like that. Thank you, Carpet of Flowers. You're right on time. I don't even think I play that. Like, I can play it next turn, and maybe my opponent has played out one more island for some reason. Like, I can play it main phase 1, use it main phase 2. That was a disaster. Okay. This deck is not a competitive legacy deck. I don't think you can take this to your local store and expect to do well with it. I think there's too many dirtily things here and too many things that aren't synergistic with the primary goal. So, like, one of the cool things about Orcish Lumberjack is that almost all of the cards were all in on a specific game plan. Like, you're all concerned about the land, you're all concerned about the sacrificing, and you have so much synergy in that regard. And I feel like we had 11 cards in our main deck that basically every time we drew them, they were horrific and worked against our primary strategy. Like, we're a bad Nick Fit deck because we don't have enough basic lands. We're a bad Orcish Lumberjack deck because we have 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 8 other cards that like aren't payoff cards in some way that are worth accelerating out into. I do think Corvold has true potential. Like, holy crap, that guy gets big in a hurry. But, like, this should be 3 basic lands, and these 8 cards should be things that work towards the Orcish Lumberjack Veteran Explorer plan. Things like Natural Order, like you see in Applejacks. Things like Tireless Tracker for the Sacrifice sub-theme. If you wanted to get real saucy, this could potentially be an okay Uro deck. It's probably too much work, but I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility to include, like, 1 blue dual, 1 island to splash Uro. It's a little crazy, but not that crazy. And yeah, just like, if you wanted more interaction too, like, you could just play a couple more Abrupt Decays. Ramunap seemed pretty bad in almost all of our matches. I don't think Ramunap's super necessary in this deck. Like, we didn't have enough payoff for the mana ramp that we were doing. Just all in all felt clunky. And, like, we didn't have some of the strengths of Nick Fit in that, like, you just have a card like Pernicious Deed that just, like, wipes everything. Like, you don't care what it is. Deed just kills it and, like, lets you use all of the mana that you've built up over the course of the game for your big haymakers afterwards. I just felt like this was a deck that didn't have a lot of advantages to it. Oh yeah, I guess for the Uro flashback, like, you would have to play a little bit more blue than I want. I was thinking about the front half of Uro, where just like 2 blue sources would be sufficient to play the front half, but that doesn't work with the back half. Another thing you could potentially do with this deck is, like, on the Applejack plan, is like you play a Primeval Titan, and then you can start playing Dryad of the Elysian Grove as well. I don't know if Applejack's players have been experimenting with Dryad of the Elysian Grove, but it seems pretty reasonable in that sort of shell. Yeah, Orms, that's a good way to think about this stream. Like, if you want to play Applejacks, putting Corvold into it is totally reasonable. We only got to put it into play a couple of times because we just, like, died so many times, but, like, the couple of times that this did get into play, like, that same turn, it often grew by 2 or 3, and I drew a handful of cards. Like, it works with the fetch lands, it works with Veteran Explorer Therapy, it works, like, it would work with food or clues if you were playing Tracker. Like, this is totally reasonable, I think. But yeah, so what we're going to do now, for a natural order target, sometimes you play like a 1 of Progenitus or something like that. But you can also just, like, natural order for a Primeval Titan, and if you make a Primeval Titan on turn 2, that kills most decks. Like, that's fine. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to right-click on this deck list, and I'm going to click Delete. And we're going to move that one right out of the queue. So tomorrow night, I'm going to be playing some Maverick with Doogs on Twitch. Looking forward to that. They're the one who run the what is it, greensunzenith.com. I forget what the exact URL is. I think that's it. They run the Maverick site, so looking forward to that. And Friday, I think I'm going to play some Enchantress. Today's Wednesday, right? Do we still have the days right? Or is it Tuesday? Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yeah, so tomorrow night is Maverick, and then Friday at some point during the day will be Enchantress. Hope you all are enjoying all the legacy content that I'm powering out this week. I'm going to go ahead and turn you over to my friend Julian, who is probably mucking around with elves, but who knows? Julian plays a lot of things. Folks, if you enjoy legacy content and you're not already following my channel, please follow. I think we're shooting for 5 or 6 different legacy streams this week. And if you're really enjoying it, please consider subscribing or doing a donation deck list to help support my legacy content production. And don't forget to listen to Eternal Glory. You know, just throw that one out there too. Have a great rest of the day, folks.